I really firmly believe that Uber is going to be the benchmark case study for disruptive businesses for MBA students in the future. So they started with Uber Black. The whole concept was e-hailing. So you call a cab from your smartphone instead of waiting for a cab to come by on the street to do that. So they started with Uber Black. So it was a prestige service to say, okay, you've got your own driver and it will come, and anybody who's used Uber Black will know that you do feel rather special and you get into that car. Then they thought, okay, let's do Uber X, which is much more of a low-cost one. You still get a good ride, but it's not in a shiny Mercedes-Benz or an Audi. You'll get a Toyota, but that's fine. It gets you from A to B. And then Uber Van or Uber Cargo, which they did. I got back from a holiday in January with a whole lot of friends from London. Got off the Gautrain. I said, oh, we've got too much luggage. Uber Black, Uber Van, and then a minibus came and took all of us. It was just fantastic. And then, of course, they did, well, why only stick to cars? So you heard in Cape Town, Uber Chopper, as you do. If you need a chopper, you might just want to spin around the peninsula, or get on your knees and propose on Table Mountain, and if there's a helipad there. And then they just did Uber Yacht, which was for Valentine's Day this year. So they diversified there. Uber Pool was splitting your fare. So if two people are going the same direction, well, we can just share our fare and split it. Customers, of course, loved it. Taxi Association, oh, well, you can't do that because we're losing revenue. And then Uber Movers, which they did for university students. The day the varsities opened, they said, we will move you into your residences, so call Uber Mover, and we'll give that special service for that. What's interesting with them is all of these things that I'm going to show you, and there's a few more, they've just tested it in different cities. So the concept goes out, and we'll see where it goes. If it has any traction, we'll implement it, and we do that. So again, their budget for failure has less risk attached to it. So Uber Rush, they thought, well, we've got all of these drivers. Why do you have to transport people? So why don't we just act as a courier company? So if you've got a parcel, Uber Rush will be chauffeured around in VIP services, and you can just get your Uber driver to actually drop off the parcel. So they became a courier service as well. So Uber Corner Store, they said, okay, we've got all of these drivers, and they've all got boots, which aren't being used. So why don't we just stock each of the Uber drivers with what you get at a spaza shop or at your local garage? So aspirins, shaving creams, all of those kind of things, little things that you might need that you don't have. So instead of actually going to the corner store, you just call your Uber driver, and whatever you need is in the boot. And again, the magic of Uber is that whatever you buy from the Uber corner store just gets taken off your account. So it's a completely cashless transaction. Seamless, easy, nothing there. And I think that's also a big one in terms of finding solutions. Uber is just a cashless business. It just is seamless that way. Uber Military, they're trying to do 50,000 jobs for returning veterans from whichever war, and allowing them to give them jobs as well. And then Uber Health, a really clever one, because New York was having a really severe winter. So we'll just dispense a nurse with a flu vaccine, and you call your Uber driver, and the nurse will come and give you a jab, and then go back again. So it's like convenience, 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 but Uber Health was part of that. So in terms of a collaboration, a really, really good idea of a collaboration. So they said, okay, well, we're a car and a transport company, but we've got a lot of people that maybe want to join Uber, but they don't have their own cars. And in a lot of the Uber rides I've had here in South Africa, there's a few people I go, okay, because I always chat to them because I'm interested about Uber. How's it going? A lot of them are earning really, really good money, but some of them saying, well, it's not my car, I've got to borrow my friend's car, all of those kind of things. So Uber said, okay, let's look at that differently. So they're morphing slowly into a financing company. So from a transport company, they will say, and it's starting with India, they will say, we will buy you the car. You don't have a car, we'll buy the car, we'll finance the car for you, and you pay it off over 4 years. In those 4 years, you have to drive for Uber. But after those 4 years, you've paid off your car and you have the car yourself. Very, very clever model. But to do that, there's that magic word again, partnerships and collaboration. So they've collaborated with Toyota and General Motors to do exactly this. And it's a perfect ecosystem because they will get more sales for the car manufacturers, they get more drivers, they become a financing company. It all kind of works into a different way of doing business. And then it goes further, and this one is actually in South Africa. Joburg, Cape Town, Pretoria, and Durban, they released just for a month called Uber Up. And it was again a collaboration with VW, who were launching a new model. And you want to test drive the new VW? Okay, the Uber driver will come to your home, you get into the car, run around a bit, and then give it back to but just so you can test drive it. But again, a really clever partnership with them. In an era of untested waters, there's going to be problems. And all you hear in global news are the horror stories of Uber. It's never going to work, it's this. A woman was raped in India, so what they did was respond really, really quickly. So what they added to the app, especially in India, was a panic button. So they quickly found a solution. They tried to diffuse the problem as fast as they could. And in Cape Town, you all heard the one about the rather drunk son who accepted the surcharge at 4 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve and was charged 2,800 Rand. And people were going, well, I watched a whole argument develop on Facebook, and people were saying, they did warn you, and I was also in London at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was also like, had a few beers going, oh, do I want to accept the surcharge? Yeah, okay, I want to go home. And then I got a huge fright when I did see my invoice when I got home, but I got home really, really quickly. So it's all about supply and demand. They've also done a fantastic one, and I think this is something that can be taken somewhere into healthcare, into the next phase, is they've got a safety net feature. So they not only put a panic button on, but they said, okay, if people are being scared, so they anticipated problems. If people are getting worried about rides and people say that you don't have these registered drivers, then what they did was the safety net feature. It allows 5 friends or family members to track your journey. So your family members can actually see where you are and until you get home, so they know where you are. And if you want to, you can disclose, because it depends how much metadata we want to let go of, but you can also say, I will allow my whole ride to be tracked so people know exactly where I am and the company knows exactly where I am, so none of those problems happen. At the end of last year, they appointed this guy. His name is David Plouffe, and he was President Obama's 2008 campaign manager. So a car company employed a political strategist because they knew they were running into all of these problems and resistance in every single country that they came to. So after 5 years, being worth $41 billion, not a bad thing for a small startup company. So this is what the CEO said about appointing David Plouffe. He said, over the years, I've come to realize that this controversy exists because we are in the middle of a political campaign. And it turns out that the candidate is Uber. So they're looking at the battle of disrupting an entire industry as a political campaign. So he says, our opponent, the big taxi cartels, has used decades of political contributions and influence to restrict competition, reduce choice for our consumers, and put a stranglehold on economic opportunity for drivers. So they've looked at it completely differently, and they said, okay, we're going to fight you. And I've read quite a few articles on the founder, and he's a pit bull. He's like, he won't go into confrontation, but if confrontation meets him, he's going to jolly well fight you on it.